Jabo, welcome back. We're going to learn how to install Bootstrap and what are the tools that you're going to need to pass through this Bootstrap tutorial series. First thing, we will need Visual Studio Code. Just going to Visual Studio Code. It's a free IDE or an application which you will use to code these Bootstrap 5 applications or learn Bootstrap 5. If you click on code.visualstudio.com, this is what is shown as of this year. That's 2023. It will check what your machine is. If I'm currently using a MacBook, so it will ask you to download and choose the version that you want. Remember, there's a difference between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So we are going to use Visual Studio Code. It's a free application, etc. After you've downloaded the Visual Studio Code, if I'm to start the Visual Studio, let me go here. Trying to start the Visual Studio. Here is our Visual Studio Code, and then go to the last tab here and look for this extension called the live server. Once you have found it, it's by Yannick, then install it. This is what is going to assist us to just use live coding. So I can just click here. Let me click here to stop it. If I go to my code here and pick one, let's say cards, and then click on this, it takes me to the browser immediately without requiring a sub server or a map server. If I do any change here, if I say Bootstrap cards only, remember it's not showing here, it's just showing Bootstrap cards. So Bootstrap cards only. Once I save it, I just navigate to the browser and I see the changes here. So that's the importance of having that live server option or the extension that is provided for free. You're not going to pay anything after that. Okay, so we've now installed Visual Studio Code, and now we have the live server to give us this. You can navigate to this official documentation for us to understand how to install Bootstrap. So there are 3 different ways, but for the beginner series there are 2 ways. You can use Bootstrap by downloading the files. I've actually downloaded it. Once you download, it's going to give you a CSS folder, such type. Once you navigate it, it's going to give you a zipped folder like this with the version and everything written on it. This file, you can unzip it and it's going to give you such type of a folder. Once you unzip it, it's going to have CSS and JS. Create a CSS folder on the side, as I have created here. Create a folder, but inside it, create a CSS folder and a JavaScript folder like this. Navigate into the Bootstrap unzipped folder. Look for bootstrap.css, it's like this. Bootstrap.css. Move it from this CSS folder to the one that you've actually created right now. You can also move the bootstrap.min.css depending on, it's just a minified version of this, but I prefer using this because of this tutorial series. I don't want to have minified versions, it might lack some things. After that, navigate to the JavaScript folder in the unzipped folder and also get the bootstrap JavaScript file, which is here, the bundle.min.js. Once that's done, you can navigate to creating your template, which is here, and the way to do this is just as simple as going to cut this. If you are using Visual Studio, just put an exclamation mark and do tab. You can create the template. After that, you can give it whatever title you want to give, and remember to link the href. You're going to add the CSS folder, and it's this CSS folder and bootstrap to CSS. So you're linking the bootstrap file here because we've downloaded it. If that's not the case, actually let's finish that. Then from down here we can put the script tag, and we are putting the bootstrap JavaScript file. Okay, that's how you put it. The full stop showing the root folder, then JavaScript folder, and then bootstrap.bundle.min.js. The same thing here, it's given here. Once that's done, if I use a sample class here, if it's a normal button, my button as an example, you can see if I go here and start the live server from here, go live, you see that's how the button shows. It's my button. But if I use the bootstrap classes, just to show you that it actually works, we default class of btn. Once I just apply that, it shifts, becomes like this, and the cursor also shifts. And we have to give a contextual class of, let's say, btn danger for a red background. You can see that's how bootstrap is already applied. You can see because it's changing that and the classes are working. The second way of using bootstrap is by using the CDN and we can actually use this. You just copy this or this, one of the two, because it's this. I can just replace it here. And if you use the CDN link, you actually don't need to put the script here, and you don't need to download any of this, but you need to have internet. So if I save this, I'll go back to, it still works. If I change this to BTN success, to change the color to green, it still works because I'm connected to the internet one, and I've copied the CDN, the content delivery network. This is an online storage of Bootstrap in some server somewhere all over the world to bring it closer to you using the internet, and you don't have to download it. I'm going to undo that to have my template properly to what it was before, but now you understand how to create a template file which we'll use to pass through all this. So the tutorial series is going to highlight how to create all this, so no need to be worried, and also I'll provide the boiler template on request. See you in the tutorial series, and I'm excited to be teaching you. Bye bye.